Investigation linked the killing of the immigration officer to these suspects. Why defend him? Would that representation by a lawyer or defense by the lawyer not amount to perversion of justice? What exactly are the facts? The reports and investigations by the police suggest that someone killed this immigration officer. There were inconsistencies in his narration. So they suspected that he certainly has something to do with the death of the immigration officer. When he was brought to court, people were actually gathered at the court premises in their numbers. As we speak today, that guy is innocent. Despite the investigation report by the police, he is innocent. It is not guilty as sin. It is not guilty as a public crime. It is not guilty as how bad you have committed a crime. It is guilty as I am Godwin Selassie Dakpo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal. Hello, welcome to another exciting episode on Make It Legal. Now, on this particular episode, we are going to be talking about the killing of the immigration officer and the near assault of the prime suspect lawyer. Now, is that assault we see justified? What is the law saying about defending or representation of people who have been accused of committing any crime? Whether it is murder, it is manslaughter, it is stealing, it is rape, it is defilement. The public is angry at the accused person. It looks so clear that he has committed a crime or not, no matter the crime and no matter the circumstances. Do such persons who are suspected of committing a crime or who are guilty of committing a crime, do they deserve a representation? Now, for us, one gentleman by name Justice Newton Ofe, he sort of asked a question that I think this video would perfectly address. Now, what is his question? His question is that here I am putting myself in the shoes of these relatives of the murdered immigration officer, and I plead with my learned friends of the legal fraternity to please help me out. An individual has been found to, without just cause, callously slaughter someone, and investigations, including forensics, have linked him to say, why defend him? That is Newton action. Why defend him? Investigations, including forensics evidence or forensic investigation, linked the killing of the immigration officer to these suspects. Why defend him? That's the first question he's asking. Then he continues to say that, won't the defense counsel in this scenario be engaging in clear act of criminal perversion of justice to which the victim's family are entitled to? I mean, genuine questions. The victim's family are entitled to justice, and the lawyer is trying to defend or represent the person who is accused to have committed a crime. Wouldn't the lawyer be perversing justice? Does that person deserve a defense or representation in court by a lawyer? Would that representation by a lawyer or defense by the lawyer of that suspect, that accused person, not amount to perversion of justice? Now, we want to start by first appreciating the background. We've all become aware of the killing of the immigration officer, but I need you to appreciate the story once again. What exactly are the facts?
The Ghana Police Service, through its Criminal Investigations Department, is actively investigating the gruesome murder of Assistant Inspector of Immigration Stephen King Amwa, popularly known as Otumfuo Nana, who was initially reported missing early last month in July 2025. On 4 July 2025, the Kwabenya District Police Command received a complaint regarding the disappearance of Assistant Inspector Stephen King Amwa, an immigration officer stationed at the Sports Department of the Ghana Immigration Headquarters in Accra. Investigations revealed that on 3 July 2025, at approximately 8 p.m., the deceased left his residence at Ashoma Estate after receiving WhatsApp images of cash bundles from one Bright Awe, who requested to meet him at a spot at Ashoma Estate to settle an outstanding debt. According to the complainant, Mr. Amwa never returned home that night and his phone remained switched off thereafter. On 6 July 2025, subsequent police operations led to the arrest of suspect Bright Awe with aliases Roberts or Highest Bright. During interrogation, he admitted to meeting and giving the deceased 500,000 cedis in cash on 3rd July 2025 when they met at a spot at Ashoma Estate. He claimed that he instructed the deceased to use 200,000 Ghana cedis to pay off certain debts and hold the remaining 300,000 cedis for later collection. However, the suspect failed to clearly explain the source of the funds and provided conflicting statements which heightened suspicions of foul play. He was arraigned before the Kwabena Circuit Court on 8 July 2025 on a provisional charge of kidnapping. On the morning of 9 July 2025, police discovered a severely burnt body in a gutter near GBC Satellite opposite Comet Estate in Accra. The body was conveyed to the police hospital morgue. Following this discovery, investigators from the Kwabena police joined the crime scene and later proceeded with the complainant and 6 relatives to the morgue. Despite the extent of the burns, the relatives positively identified the body as that of Stephen King Amwa, who had been missing since 3 July 2025. The investigation took a decisive turn on 16 July 2025 when the CID, supported by officers from the Counter-Terrorism Unit and the Kwabena District Police, visited the suspect's residence. A forensic inspection revealed the following: blood stains in the living room and evidence of attempted cleanup, freshly sprayed walls, an empty can of spray paint. A search of a secondary crime scene near the GBC Satellite area also uncovered a burnt woolen carpet stained with blood and partially burnt camouflage fabric. These items were photographed, retrieved, and processed for forensic analysis. On 24 July, police obtained a warrant from the court to search a particular room in the suspect's house. A search in the room revealed more blood stains which were photographed, and samples were collected for forensic analysis. A further search in the bushes about 100 meters from the suspect's house also led to the retrieval of a fufu pestle with blood stains all over it. Police also impounded the suspect's vehicle, in which some blood stains were also seen, and same was collected for analysis. I wish to state that the initial blood samples collected have tested positive for human blood. To aid the investigation, the deceased's mother and son have provided samples for DNA profiling. In the face of these pieces of evidence, the suspect, who was initially charged with kidnapping, has since been rearrested and formally charged with murder. He is currently on remand following his appearance before the Adabraka District Court and is scheduled to reappear on 8 August 2025.
Yes, indeed, the reports and investigations by the police suggest that someone killed this immigration officer. Of course, there were linkages of, first of all, somebody receiving a message from another person that, hey, I've got cash for you to pay your debt, come for it. And he went to see this suspect who says he gave the cash to the immigration officer. I mean, he claimed he gave him his 200,000 debt and also added 300,000 Ghana cedis to it, which he's supposed to come for later. It doesn't sound so logical, but that is what he said he did. And the police thought there were inconsistencies in his narration. So they suspected that he certainly has something to do with the death of the immigration officer. I mean, the body was actually found and confirmed by journalists to have been deposited somewhere.
I'm standing at the exact spot where the partly burnt body of 38-year-old immigration officer Stephen King Amwa was discovered, right here near Comet Estate off Brekusu, not far from the GBC main tower.
The police got permission, enter the premises or the room of the suspect. And the prime suspect here we're talking about is Bright Away. And Bright was the one whose room the police had permission to enter and to search. And when they searched, they found a lot of disturbing things, as they've already mentioned in the video we just watched. And the suggestion was clear that it is pointing to the death of that person. So they took the blood and did forensic and all of that. So, I mean, like Newton is saying, every evidence is pointing to the fact that he did it. But fast forward, he was arraigned before court on a charge of murder. That is to say that he has intentionally caused the death of Stephen King Amwa. It means that Bright Away is the one who intentionally caused or killed the immigration officer. So he was brought before court, and once you are in court, the legal proceedings will take place and continue throughout. Now you could see when he was brought to court, people were actually gathered at the court premises in their numbers, just to see the guy again, the guy who has killed our favorite immigration officer, our uncle, our husband, our friend, who has killed him. you want to see him again. So at the court premises, you see that the family were there, well wishers were there, friends of the deceased were there, and everybody was present just to see the gentleman again. Now, when you are accused of a murder, the proceedings are a bit unique, and you'll be sent first to district court. The district court will take your plea. They'll read your charges to you. They'll say, count one, that on this date you intentionally caused the death of this person by so and so. Once they read that to you, they will then ask you, guilty or not guilty. And as an accused person, you will respond by saying, I am guilty, or I am not guilty, or I am guilty, but with explanation. So once you say you are not guilty, it means that the district magistrate or the district court judge will do what we call committal proceedings. They will take all the evidence that the police or the prosecution have against you. All those evidence will be assessed, reviewed, and they would also take your comments or your objections or concerns about the evidence from your lawyers or from you yourself. And once they take that, they are going to forward all of that to the High Court where you'll be tried. The High Court judge will sit as a single judge with 7 jurors. Jurors are ordinary people in society who will be invited to sit as a panel of judges, so to say. They'll be judges of fact. They will hear the evidence you have. They'll hear everything that is brought forward as evidence against you. When they hear all of that, the judge will explain the law to them, that this is what the law says, that to commit murder, you have to prove A, B, C, D. And the judge will ask them that in their review and assessment of all the evidence, do they think that the prosecution has proved that the accused person is guilty of murder? And they will say, yes, on that count, yes, it is guilty. Or on that count, it is not guilty. So that is the procedure in brief. And the judge will just read out the verdicts, proceed to prescribe the sentence that the law has to the accused person. That is the procedure. Now, in all of this procedure, a key concern is whether or not the accused person should be defended by a lawyer. And the constitution is quite clear when it comes to legal representation of anybody who is accused of committing a crime or who is going to court. As a matter of fact, fundamentally, it is a right of every human being to have a legal representation, to choose a lawyer that he prefers to defend him or to defend himself in any criminal or civil proceedings. Whether he's accused of murder or not, he has a constitutional right, fundamental constitutional right, because he's a human being. He can say that I am choosing Godwin Selassie Dapo to represent me in the court proceedings or to defend me as the ordinary person terms it. For the ordinary person, once we talk about an accused person going through the criminal proceedings and you are the defense counsel or defense attorney, you are there to defend him. In other words, you are just going there to ensure that he does not become guilty. Most often than not, it's not always the case. Sometimes you are going to simply offer legal services of providing guidance to someone who is in the criminal system he knows nothing about. Lawyers spend a lot of years in the law school to learn what a charge sheet is, to appreciate what is expected of you when you're in the legal proceedings, to know how to draft the processes and file them, to know what it means when a judge says that you are guilty with explanation, or you can do this, or you can file your charge sheet, or you can file your response, or file disclosures. Oh yes, they're the ones trained to do that. So if there is anyone who will guide an accused person to understand the legal proceedings and the legal system properly, it should be a lawyer. So a lawyer is expected to defend you if he so prefers, if he so asks him to, if he so instructs him to defend you. He is duty bound to represent you and to defend you. Now, I should say that that is still the case, whether or not the whole public thinks that you have committed a crime you have been charged of. And that is even more the case, even when thousands of people have seen you committing the crime. You will still be defended by a lawyer. Why is it so? Because you are not guilty because you have been seen committing a crime by people who are not judges or a person who is under a court of competent jurisdiction. In a democratic dispensation, You are only guilty because you have been proven guilty or you have pleaded guilty. Forensic investigations that link you to the crime or to the killing of the deceased person is not the way we determine people who are guilty in a democratic dispensation. By our laws, we do not determine those who are guilty by the fact that we have seen them committing the crime. We determine a guilty person by the fact that evidence is led before a judge or a judge and a juror or a judge and jurors, and they have come to the conclusion that he is guilty. So once the person says that he's not guilty, I did not do it. Once he says that, it means that we have to take him through the process to prove him guilty. And that process is only done by a court of competent jurisdiction. And competent jurisdiction here means that it is the court that has the authority by the law to determine his guilt. In other words, if you take the person to the wrong court and that wrong court declares that he's guilty, that determination of guilt will still not stand. So you have to go to the court that has a competent authority of law to determine whether the person is guilty. So once this right away guy pleads not guilty, it means that he has to be taken to the proceedings. And once you're taken to the proceedings, you have to ensure that you get those who understand the proceedings you are being taken through. And they are lawyers. They are certain lawyers. So, I mean, you will see that after court that day, the family of the deceased person were all in the premises. I think friends and some persons who sympathize with the family have all come around, and they were actually targeting to assault the lawyer. Allowed, they would have actually beat that lawyer there because they are filled with anger. They are so disturbed by the fact that the person who killed our favorite immigration officer, our son, our uncle, our husband, is walking about and he's being carried in a police car from court to court. He has life and he's alive. They are not happy about that. So they are angry and they are bitter. And I can understand them. They are perfectly doing what they think is proper because of the way they feel. But it's not always about how we feel. It's about the rules and principles we have laid down to guide us. It is about what the requirement of law is. So the lawyer is supposed to, if he has accepted the instructions of the accused person, he's supposed to defend the accused person. He's supposed to be in court every single time the case is called. And once he's in court, he'll make defenses. He will cross-examine the witnesses of the prosecution. He will try to suggest to them that the accused person is not guilty because he says he's not guilty. And the prosecution will have to prove 100% that the guy has committed a crime. I mean, that is what it is. And these rules have been long established. For as far back as 1948, the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights. So if you read Article 11 of the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, as far back as 1948, right? It's been accepted by United Nations all over the world, including Ghana. And Article 11 Clause 1 says that everyone charged with a penal offense has a right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty according to law in a public trial at which he has had all the guarantees necessary for his defense. It is a right he has to be presented by a lawyer, and he is not guilty until he is proven guilty. As we speak today, that guy is innocent. Despite the investigation report by the police, he is innocent. He's only guilty when the police prove him guilty before a judge, and the judge accepts that, yes, you have proven him guilty, and I declare him guilty. Then he is guilty. And when he's guilty, they will not call the community or the family to come and beat him up as a punishment. They will not do that. They will send him straight to prison where he belongs by reason of the fact that he's found guilty. 1992 Constitution is very clear in Article 19. And it says that a person charged with a criminal offense shall be presumed to be innocent until he is proved or has pleaded guilty. And the same Article 19 says that a person who is charged with a criminal offense has a right to represent himself or to be represented by a lawyer. He has a right to defend himself or to be defended by a lawyer of his own choice. So if Bright chooses that he will want lawyer to defend him, the lawyer can, if he's willing, defend him. That is what I have to say. And I believe we pick some few lessons from this one. Number one, everyone deserves legal representation, whether or not the person has been seen committing a crime, has been caught by a judge after work committing the crime, has been caught by the president committing a crime. The person has to still go through the criminal proceedings and be proved guilty. And when he's going through the proceedings, he's entitled to legal representation. He can defend himself or ask a lawyer to defend him. Number two, he is innocent until he's proven guilty or he pleads guilty. These are constitutional guarantee rights. And nobody, not even the court of family or an institution, can deprive the suspect or accused person that right. It is not guilty as sin. It is not guilty as a public crime. It is not guilty as how bad you have committed a crime. It is guilty as you plead or guilty as have been proven. I am Godwin Selassie Dapo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal.